What's up, everybody? This is Fred Richani of TSC. We have right here on the line a champion, but not just any champion. He is a world champion, the world champion of Ring of Honor. We're talking to Pierre, a.k.a. PCO. He's a former TSC guest. He came on here last year, talked about how he wanted to be a world champion. At the time, he was a tag team champion, and he closed out 2019 the biggest way possible. PCO, how does it feel to be champ?
Feels great. Feels awesome. It feels like a long life achievement that I was aiming for since I was 14 years old. But it was only like the first step, of the goals of my career. So it took so long to reach that first step. I just feel with all the adversity that I've been through that it's going to take way more time to achieve the rest of my goals.
And what an incredible goal it was. You had a very hard-hitting match with Rougeau to capture the title at Final Battle, which, by the way, ROH actually uploaded on their YouTube channel for free, so y'all could watch that match and the whole show. And it's amazing. You won this world title at 51 years young, if I'm not mistaken. But you certainly aren't moving like a 51-year-old. How are you feeling these days?
I'm feeling great. My body's such in shape. I mean, I have no pain. Everything is nice and loose. Ready for another war. I'm ready for a war like every night. I could go on for 365 days a year like that, and that wouldn't change a thing for me. It's just something I like doing, that I love doing. It's my passion, and obviously, being a champion, it's more than just wrestling in the ring. There's everything that comes with it. All the, with being a champion, it comes with great responsibilities, and there's so much to do around, and you have to keep on pushing the pedal also on the workouts, and keep ready for in-ring action. But there's so much happening outside the ring. You're invited all over the place. Big sporting events, big conventions, and all kinds of things, and my phone keeps on ringing all the time. But I knew that was part of the deal, and I knew that was what I was getting into it, and that's what I wanted to get into. So I'm not complaining. Actually, I'm full of gratitude. I'm so happy. I couldn't ask for a better life. I'm at peace. I'm serene, and I'm ready to go.
And you've had an incredible career, and for any younger fans that don't know, you once were in WWE, in WCW, Impact Wrestling. You were pretty much everywhere. You've been at ROH, captured the six-man titles, tag team titles, now the ROH World Champion. You've had a lot of great moments throughout your career, but I mean, being a world champion is the pinnacle. So when you did finally get that gold around your waist, I mean, what was that feeling like, especially for someone like you who has waited a long time to get to this point?
Yeah, it meant for me, when I took a bunch of selfies with the crowd, and I was really involved with the crowd, and I was trying not to disappoint anyone. The crowd was so cheerful and so behind me and everything, that I wanted to give back, right away at the same night. When I crossed the curtain going back to the dressing room area, every wrestler in the company had stayed, and they gave me a big standing ovation on the other side, and I could see some of the guys had tears in their eyes, because they felt, all the sacrifices, all the setbacks, all the obstacles, the, tough times, and everything that I've gone through to get to that point. And I told the guys, some of you might not mean as much as it means for me, because So you became champion at a fairly young age. But when you've been grinding and trying to find a way, it's like feel like you're in a labyrinth, and you're trying to find your way to the top, and you hit walls here and there, and you become to a point where you almost become discouraged, and you say, what is it going to take to get there? It's like at one point sometimes you're on a good wave, you're doing the good things, the right things, and then bang, and then everything shuts off, and you're back at starting point again, and you have to roll up the sleeve and find the courage and the determination and devotion for your passion to get back up and start, digging more hurt in a way to find that diamond, So and shovel and shovel and shovel, and then you hit different things and it doesn't work, and you don't find any gold and you don't find any diamonds, and it's a hell of a journey. And so by getting it, it was very emotional for me. It was something that was in my mind and my heart, was a burning desire. Since I was 14 years old, I was working at it. So it was very special, very, very special.
And you got to take a very nice victory lap as well. I mean, you're not just a world champion for Ring of Honor, the world champion, but you're also a Canadian world champion. Canadian wrestlers have a very rich history in the industry, and I feel like right now, these days in combat sports, Canada's kind of an underserved market. It was hot for a while. WWE used to run there a lot. They still do, but I don't feel like it's at the same level like it used to be. With combat sports, with MMA, for example, with GSP, he's nowhere near as active as he used to be. I think he's actually technically officially retired at this point. He hasn't fought in a couple years. So, I mean, I do feel like Canada is a bit underserved. And here you are, the world champion, and you are at the Montreal Canadiens game, getting that great exposure for ROH and getting a really nice ovation.
What a great exposure! What a great ovation! I mean, you're talking about 21,000 people, hockey fans. You go there as a pro wrestler and you cut a promo in front of 21,000 hockey fans, and you get like a PCO chant. That's unheard of. That's really like PCO monster mania. Like that's the beginning of something super big. Tonight, just like that, I was with I was with Destro and did some kids, and then they wanted to go into some stats for hockey players. So they get on the NHL.com, which is a mega website, and kid goes, I've never seen anything like that in my life. That's NHL.com. Never played in the NHL of your career. And it's the first time that I see someone on the NHL.com that would never played even one game in the NHL. And that got me like, wow, what an exposure. Because on top of the Montreal Canadiens hockey game, and on top of being on all the social media, the Montreal Canadiens, which is probably the greatest dynasty in all professional sports, with the Yankees and the Pats and NFL. They've got 24 championships under their belt. Being honored by a dynasty like that, having the chance to express myself live in front of their audience.
And I mentioned that you won the world title at 51. You're actually 52 now, so happy belated birthday. You're now 52 years young. And here you are.
I mean, the 13th of December, and I turned 52 30th of December. So that was also a birthday gift, that finally find that goal that after digging for so long, So didn't want to cut you off, but it just felt like it was the perfect timing, right at my birthday.
No, that is pretty cool. And at 52 years young, I mean, I follow you on Twitter, on Instagram. You're always putting out these awesome videos of your training with Destro. And there was one, I think, where I think you nailed your hand to like a piece of wood, and you're just screaming like ah, and you're like, and like Destro keeps slamming the hammer, and you're just feeling the pain, but you keep going because you want to be, you know, the ultimate fighting machine. And I'm just thinking, man, like this guy and your colleague Destro are so creative, and every week it's something new, and every week it's entertaining. And I see guys that are half your age that, with all due respect, are really talented in the ring, but don't put anywhere near the effort on the character side of things. I'm not saying everybody has to be Frankenstein, everybody has to be PCO and, you know, self-mutilation and crazy stuff like that. But I feel like that there could be a little bit more effort on the social media side, not just to tweet out like, hey, I'm here, but to build your respective character. What advice would you give any young wrestlers who are hoping to kind of take that next step, not just in the ring, but like what you have done and create a marketable character?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's the will. It's because you want to make it so much. I was at a point in my career where I was under contract. Let's say I was like in Puerto Rico or I was in England, and then I got my booking sheet and I knew this day I was at that building and that day at the other building. And I was just following up, you know, like booking sheets and just doing my job and working really hard in the ring every night. And then I got into WWF and WWE, and then I got back home sometimes, and like, damn, that company, they never have anything for me. You know, they don't have nothing for me, and then I would sometimes, you know, I'd write scenarios, I'd write things down, I'd suggest, you know, angles and things like that, and then it would end up being in maybe the garbage or on top of a shelf somewhere, or, you know, I felt like maybe it wasn't on the right ears and things like that. And then when I made my comeback, I said, what the heck, man? I'm just going to get myself over by myself. You know, I'm just going to be so creative. I'm going to be so passionate. I'm going to be so into what I'm doing, you know. So I decided I was not going to go out anymore. I didn't want to have any girlfriend. I didn't want to have my head mixed up into something else, because at the age that I was, I knew that I had to triple up my work, you know. It's like the deadline that I had was so close that it made me do like twice or 5 times as much work as I would have done if I was 20 years old. But it's almost like a football team sometimes when they're behind and they got, you know, so much time left on the clock that they're not even like having like any more like meetings or anything like that in between plays. You know, they're just so into the moment that they give their all out best efforts. And sometimes they score because they're so much in the moment and they're so focused and all their energies at the same place. And that's the kind of feeling that I needed to have, you know. Just think about wrestling 24/7, just getting up in the morning, writing maybe 20 ideas every morning, or 5 ideas, or 2, depending on how you feel. Getting up early, writing ideas down, letting, like, you know, play in my mind during the whole day. Next morning, writing some other things up, and eventually, all of those ideas, 1 or 2 pops out, and they're good ones. And when you keep on working on your stuff and you keep on trying to get better, things start to roll for yourself, you know. It feels like now life is giving you, this is happening. Or sometimes, I remember when I was younger, if something was promised to me and it was not delivered the way that I expected, I would just be enraged and be fighting against that thing, you know. Why I was promised this and I was promised that, and they lied to me and things like that. I don't even waste energy on that anymore. Whatever I've got, I'm trying to make like the best out of it. And most of the time, and I'd say if not all the time, everything that I do accept a situation that I'm not supposed to accept, and I make the best out of it. I've got so much gift, like so much timing, so much thing coming up to me. I'm going to give you an example. I was booked in Japan for tag league, and Brody King got injured. Then I started to feel like, no, I hope my tour in Japan will be fine. So I'm calling King all the time. How's your knee? I should be all right. I don't think I ripped my ligament. I think it's just I just twisted it and things like that. So I say, let's go see an orthopedist just to make sure it's just not a regular doctor. So finally you went. ACL was torn, cut, and he couldn't make it to Japan. So I was kind of bummed out, and I rolled my sleeves up like I did during the first part of my career. Like I would roll my sleeve up. It was after that I was really disappointed and really mad, and I was ready to throw things and to break things and to really lose my composure, and that I couldn't masterize everything my own self. Basically, I was losing control myself. So I kept calm, and I say, well, something good's going to come out of that for sure. And I was hoping the best for Brody. I felt bad for him, and I said, I'm going to work so hard on that show for December 13. So we had that summit in Baltimore for the company just before Christmas, just to, have a lunch with the boys and talk about, what's up for us in 2020 and what's coming up and things like that. It was very positive. And then I cut that promo with Rouge for Rouge, which is one of the greatest promo that I ever thought that was ever put together by one of our talented guy at Ring of Honor who puts the video together. We've got a bunch of guys, but this guy's name is Zane, and he's super talented, and he put that out. And that video made a huge difference because I could tell my story with the images and everything. And this and the meetings that we had with the executive and expressing ourselves. And I feel that I gained, it helped me getting in the groove for the title match. And I really feel that was like some turning points there. So most of the time when I'm going through adversity, and I do accept that adversity as a gift, I got a benediction out of that most of the time. That's all the work that I had to do on my own person, as growing as a person. I had to change so many things in my life in order to become more successful. And that's where now I'm really focusing on success, putting so much effort on be creative, on coming with different stuff, on working the character. And it's all about passion, devotion, determination, and not counting the hours, because sometimes it seems like we're wrestling, that amount of dates per year. But I got to tell you, I'm working probably 50 to 80 hours a week on different type of deal that are related to my wrestling career. It's nonstop action. I'm always working on something.
So,
so that's what I gotta say for someone who wants to, make it big in the business. You gotta be willing to pay the price, and it's gotta be something that you love to do. You have to love to be doing this media, public relations, be creative, coming up with different things, coming up with different ideas that was never done before, and all kinds of things. You have to create your own luck. You can't be waiting for the company to think about you and to give you something if you're not working at it. You gotta bust your butts 24/7. That's all I have to say. That's what keeps me young.
At the time of recording this, it sounds like Marty Scurll is here to stay with Ring of Honor. He was set to become a free agent. A lot of people thought maybe he'd be on the outs, and it looks like he's going to be with Ring of Honor for the foreseeable future, which I think is great. He's a great talent, and I like the chemistry you guys all have together. What can you tell us about Villain Enterprises the fans don't see? Something good about them that they bring to the table that maybe the average fan doesn't notice when they're watching in the ring?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, with Marty, he's a great guy. He's a very generous guy. He's very a great wrestler, obviously. We all know that. Everybody that's, not everybody, but a lot of guys that have been formed and broken into pro wrestling in England, they got such a great, solid base in wrestling itself. So he's got that for sure. He's got the charisma. He knows how, great at psychology, putting matches together, or knowing what to do with that move or this move, or, he's got great psychology. As far as Marty himself, not the type of guy who talks about professional things that much. Up until today, you probably know better than I know, and I consider myself one of his good friends because, all Villain Enterprise, we have like a common, text message, someone's birthday or, whatever we have to discuss between the four of us. We do with Flip Gordon as well, which is an incredible talent and a good guy. But with Marty's deal, I didn't know if he was going to AEW, if he was going to NXT, if he was staying with ROH. I've seen him going to NWA, and I felt like it was not my duty, it was not my business to say, Marty, what are you doing? Are you staying? Are you leaving? Are you resigning? What's up with you? I always left him with his mind and let him think and let him do whatever he wanted to do. And he was always creative with Villain Enterprises, with his own character. He comes up with merch all the time, with ideas, with, different costumes, very creative. Like I say, I only got good words from Marty. He's been awesome. He's been the one who had, put my name up there for Ring of Honor to bring me in, because I met him in 2007 in England when he was just a kid. And, he thought that I wasn't a prima donna or I didn't play, big games. I was cool with everybody. So I think that was when I got really over on the indie. I think he really liked the fact that I was getting over. Like sometimes texting me, asking me if I was under contract somewhere. He would end up his text would keep killing it and things like that. So when he had the idea of Villain Enterprises, he wanted to bring me and Brody King. And Brody King, great guy, like me, straight edge, doesn't drink, doesn't party or anything like that. So very dedicated to wrestling, super talented, great guy, very generous as well. Won't refuse to take a picture with anybody. Very gentleman. But in the ring, he's tough dude, man. One of the toughest dudes I've wrestled before. And he goes hard, he goes hard as far as to give himself, but when he hits you hard, he's heavy, he's tall, and you can't feel the weight, but he's never hurt anyone. He's just a tough guy. So that's about it. Like Marty is very keeps his business. Like for me, if someone walks up to me, how much are you making per year? I mean, that's my own thing. That's not something that we discuss with anyone. I never discussed that with anyone in my own faction, and I don't think I should discuss any of Marty's plan if he wants to stay ROH or go somewhere else. And we were always respectful to each other. So I think that's why we have such a chemistry. We have a lot of respect between each other. And hopefully Marty stays. I think part of his New Year resolution, I heard that from Henry Cabani, that Marty wanted to become a world champion. So there's a lot of competition right now. He's in my own faction, and if he came out with that statement, I totally understand that, because everybody wants to be on top, and everybody wants to pull the company or help pull the company with the rest of the other guys. So I totally admire that.
Before we let you go, we really do appreciate the time. I know you got a lot of world champion duties going on, but where can fans find you online?
With my social media platforms, they're all under PCO is Not Human, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm super active on those three. I got a YouTube channel with 100 and more than 100 vignettes of Monday Night PCO and Distro with everything that we have done over the last 2 years. So we have hours and hours of fun and pleasure watching that, going through that, finding the whole story about the resurrection, electricity, dash, jumper cables, car battery, and all the, feats of strength, the Destro, being, who created the French-Canadian Frankenstein, Perfect Creation 1, PCO, and it's, you can get the whole story put together there. Since some fans have joined the PCO journey maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago. Some have been there since the beginning. Some have been there, different times, different frames of time. So you can catch up there on Pierre on YouTube, PCO, and all the other platforms.